Okay, so today's notes, it's in the College Board curriculum. It's section 1.2. It's called Variables and Data Types. And here's today's date. And so you could open up a thing and go along with me, or you can just watch and deal with it later. But here's a little skeleton of a program that I've called Notes. And here's the main method where I'm going to type some things. So far, we've been using pieces of text in our print calls. You know, we put things in between quotes. And those are called string literals. String is a piece of text in Java, and a literal means like literally what's in between the quotes. That's like a fixed thing. Literally, it's something. It's not a variable. Different from a literal would be a variable, something you store something in that you can then change and modify. So today we're going to start using variables, and a variable will hold whatever data you put into it. And in Java, variables are, when you create them, you have to say what kind of variable it is. So the three variables we're going to use today are an integer variable, which is indicated by the letters int. So I'm going to do int n equals 2020 for the seniors. So that line right there creates a variable called n, and it tells Java this is going to be an integer variable, and it stores the number 2020 in there. So that's pretty easy. If you, in fact, I'll compile, and we'll see this will compile fine. The program doesn't do anything that we can see, but I compiled it. It says operation complete. If you forget to say what kind of variable something is, like here I'm just saying n equals 2020. If I try to compile this, it says notes, Java line 8, error, cannot find symbol, n equals 2020. So it's saying, what is this n of which you speak, right? It's computers are very literal. Here's a program, you're saying, hey, I want you to store 2020 in that variable n. And Java's like, what variable n? I don't even know what you're talking about. So some languages let you just say n equals 2020, like Python, which we use in our beginning class. You can just say n equals 2020 and it gets stored and it works fine. But Java needs to know up front what kind of variable you're working with. So one type of variable is an int. Yes, Hunter?
Why don't we use Python in this class?
The College Board, the question was why don't we use Python in this class? The College Board says that for AP Computer Science you have to use Java. So it makes sense because on their test, they're going to have a test and they don't want to have to grade it in 25 different programming languages. They say, hey, if you want to take this test, you're going to take it in Java. And then, it makes sense for us to use it all year so you're good at it. The next variable type is a double. I'm going to say double M equals, and a double is a decimal number. So, we're not going to worry about the biggest possible number you can store in here or the smallest possible number you can store in here. But an integer, remember, an integer is a whole number, positive or negative whole number, or zero. A double is a positive or negative decimal number. And then the last variable type is a Boolean. And a Boolean is a logical variable. It is either true or false. And so you don't put the word true in quotes. You literally just say the word true. So I'm going to comment here, true or false. Lowercase t. This should compile fine. I mean, again, this program doesn't do anything yet, but these are three types of variables we're going to use today. Just getting you into the system. These three types are called primitive data types. There's really two types of data in Java. There's primitive data types like these. Think of them as very elemental or simple. Integer is just a number, double's a number with a decimal. Boolean is true or false. A string variable is a bit of a hybrid. It acts like it isn't primitive most of the time, but sometimes it does act somewhat primitive. We'll talk about that more another day. But the other main type of data is called of a variable is called a class data type, and those we're going to create our own. They can be super complicated and hold tons of information. Like you can create a database of students, and each student is a variable, and that and you have attributes like your GPA and your grade level and your address. But for today, we're talking about really simple variables, these primitive variables, primitive data types. One thing that happens with primitive data types is Java stores the value for the variable at the variable memory location. So we're not going to worry about memory locations. We don't ever see like the index of the variable memory locations, or mostly we don't see them. But what I'm saying is you make this variable n and store 2020 in it. If Java knows, hey, n is stored at this location in memory, and then you go to that location and there's the 2020. And class data works a little differently, which we'll talk about later. But it'll make more sense when we do another other stuff. So we can print these things. So I could say print n, print m, and print b. I'm just typing it wrong, but it'll be okay. And now if I run this program, we can't just say print. I just finished my my beginning programming class last period, and we do have a command called print. Remember here we did system.out.print. I'm going to say println also. Boy, I guess you could say I had a good weekend. Out. I had a good time at the Apple Fair. I did go home yesterday and take a nap. I was so exhausted. So when I run this program, it's going to print out, 2020, 17.5, and true. If you want to print more than one thing at the same time, you can say n plus m plus b. We're going to get a little, some weird things are going to happen, and we might even get an error. Yeah, we got an error. Because what's happening here is the plus sign, if you have two pieces of text, the plus sign will put them together. And if you have text and a number, it'll put them together.
You said print
Oh, it's complaining about that. Thanks. We'll see what this does. It might actually work. No, it's still not happy. We could say print n plus m, and it'll print the numbers added together, right? 37.5. But when you say plus true, Java's like, no, you can't take a number and true and add it together and print it. So you could right here. If you wanted to print it all in one line, you could say print with a space, and then Java then figures out, I think this will work. Yeah, it prints it all in one line, just separate things. Doesn't add them together because we put the space in between. And if you wanted to print each one on its own line, remember we learned about the escape characters last week. You can do \n. And why don't we just, for fun, throw a tab in here, and then I'll throw two tabs in here, and it'll be all like a little cascade of our data. 20.27. What's that n there? Oh, I got rid of the backslash somehow. There we go. That was better. 2020, 17.5, and true. All right, that's it for the notes for today.